Love that song. Welcome, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports, where your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks on this what seems to be busy NBA trade deadline day. Andy, I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me always is my Minnesota correspondent, Nappy, in that sweatshirt there. Is there a way people can get that? Is there a way?
Yeah, you still can get the sweatshirt. Obviously, we mention it every single day. You just sign up for WinBet, email. I think it's contact@BetSperts. I'm going to make a little flyer of how you can contact the BetSperts Twitter account. There's a guy behind that's more than happy to respond to your DMs, get you on the list, send you a legitimate Under Armour sweatshirt to go along with your $500 risk-free bet. Links are in the pinned tweet of our Brown Bag Bets account @BrownBagBets on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter, chopping it up all day, every day as well. Andy MSFW @_Noops with 2 O's. And of course on BetSperts, Andy and Alex Christensen. But tough day yesterday. My golf was, I don't want to say like if anybody knows Ketley, Big Ten Watto @Big Ten Watto, tennis better. We'll get him on here sometime. I'll talk him into it. He has the worst beats. Like, he's a very talented bettor. He understands the market. He loses in incredible ways. He had it yesterday where a tennis player was down 5-1, ended up winning that match 7-5 in the third set. That was kind of my golf. I had 4 of the 7 matchups where my golfer was either tied or led going into the 18th. And you cannot lose multiple strokes on any hole. It's just one. And those were always, all 4 of them went tits up for me. My opponent won the 18th hole 4 times, 4 out of 4. You just got to smile, laugh, take the variance. At least Sergio won. That was my favorite one. That's the one I highlighted in the video clip. So Sergio ripped through it. And, of the other 2 that didn't do well, it was a lot of close matches. So match play is tricky. I think you're starting to see some of these guys' strategy. You're starting to see some of the gamesmanship here. It's a lot of fun. And, I'll kind of get into that as we get later. But, otherwise, it was a fun night. Congratulations to the Waves, Pepperdine, taking down the CBI. They, it's something I said early in the tournament in their first week. It's like, man, if they flow all the way from the West Coast, from Malibu to come down to Daytona, they're probably pretty serious, taking this seriously. And they certainly did. They ran through the tournament. They, absolutely trucked. They hit the second half over. I just put a few bucks on that for fun because it was the only thing on for me. So a lot of fun. We're done with that, but we're back into the NIT. I'll break that down later. But as always, just because it's trade deadline day and we always do it anyway, we'll start with the NBA.
Indeed. Just one pick here today for me in the NBA. We do have 5 games. Still waiting on a few things in terms of leans and whatnot. That'd be good, Andy. You put your face up there, and I'll keep talking, and everyone will be good.
I could do like you do ventriloquism.
That's right. Portland, Miami's the first game up. Miami's a 3-point favorite. Pretty much everything there is right on my numbers. I keep going back and forth on whether or not to bet the Wizards. They're +3 here against New York after getting thrashed the other night. I think there will be a bounce back spot for them. There is a 3.5 that I think is still around at a juicier price. I might talk myself into that. The Clippers are -6.5 in San Antonio. I like that, but on a back-to-back, it's a 3 and 4 for the Clippers. There's almost certainly going to be some sort of late rest nonsense. So waiting on those 2. Sacramento, Golden State, really hard to back Golden State without Curry, and even harder to wager money on the Sacramento Kings. But that leaves us with the Philadelphia 76ers, my Philadelphia 76ers, laying 5 points against the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers, of course, without Anthony Davis, without LeBron James, just a really rough roster, frankly, without that. The Sixers still continue to not have Joel Embiid. Seth Curry, I think, is questionable tonight, but that still leaves Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, 2 decent big guys, and Dwight Howard and Tony Bradley. You've got Tyrese Maxey playing very well. Korkmaz has been shooting the absolute crap out of the ball. Just a really talented team, even without Embiid. And I think that, again, there's a little overreaction to Embiid being out, and the Lakers still taking some support, which I think is interesting. Despite missing those players. I have this out to almost 8 myself, so -5's good, -5.5's okay. I'm seeing some 6s starting to pop up, maybe 6 at a lesser number, but 76ers -5.5 or better is good for me.
That is your squad. Do you think you're tilted at all? Like, not tilted, biased, I guess.
Usually the other way.
Are you?
Honestly, I avoid
I
betting
feel like
Sixers
you're
games.
pretty good about it. Yeah, I feel like you've always been like, the Sixers suck. Like you're a bit of a Sixers fatalist. So, like you know, I don't bet
Well,
all
it's
your
not a
plays
practice.
usually because I forget. But when you bet on the Sixers, I usually end up betting it just because, and it worked out. It worked out. I actually
Pretty good
didn't
so
watch
far
that
this
game.
season.
I didn't
Knock on
realize
wood,
like,
though.
yeah, I didn't realize how that game actually went when they won by 10. Like
Yeah.
that was a nice one. I
They
thought
were
it
up
was
by
like,
like 35, and then it was tied, and then they covered.
Yeah.
I actually went to sleep while that was happening. Don't watch games, people. It's overrated.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm glad I didn't watch it. So there's that. Like I mentioned earlier, WGC was a little goofy for me yesterday. I struggled with it. I woke up this morning, I looked at things, I had some ideas in my head, and I was scrolling Twitter, and I legitimately just retweeted a guy I follow and said, and I mean, here it is. I'm gonna even make it full screen. I mean, I retweeted our guy Dwayne D makes too. He's somebody I've talked to for honestly many years now. It's crazy how long I've been on Twitter talking to some of these assholes. But Dwayne has been part of the tennis chat, golf chat. He loves college basketball. He's our guy that bets way too many college basketball futures, but he kind of hit on basically everything I was looking at. I am gonna double check some of these late ones. There are matchups that start at 4 p.m. Eastern. So some of those late ones I didn't get to yet, but when I looked at some of these early ones, it's like, shit, I like all of this. And God bless his heart. He bets at a local, so I did get better numbers than him. I'm not gonna hold back. I'm gonna give him shit about that. Like I always get 5 cents
Always.
better
Get more books,
because I do shop around, but he loves his locals down there in Texas. So just the Rory fade. Rory, as our friend JD will say, has a two-way miss right now. Rory is broken. A good comment on the timeline to me joking around about Rory from Abnormal Distribution. He said, like, Rory did the same thing that Bryson did. He tried to, add all this distance to his drive, and he kind of neglected other parts of his game, and it might have goofed up his mechanics a little, and he is broken right now. Anytime you can take anyone who has a decent shot at a dog price over Rory in a single matchup isn't bad. And like quarantine was goofy to some of these guys. He's still a great player. We kind of discussed this last summer. Like, man, he could pop at any time. He could just play like the champion he is, but it hasn't been. So Lanto, and that is at about 3. That is one of the later ones. That's 3 Eastern, so you can still get onto that. Zalatoris over Finau. Finau is struggling right now. He is last off the tee. You're not going to get strokes gained for this, but some people put it together. I think he was last off the tee, last tee to green out of all the golfers yesterday. He's just not playing well. Zalatoris probably should have won his matchup yesterday. He played pretty well. So that's a cheap price over Tony. And again, I found a better price than that. Harman over Decky, I'm going to ignore because it's already started. If you saw me tweet this morning, you could have got in on that. And it's not saying much right now, but Harman is 1 up through 4 holes. So that's better than being down. Kisner over JT. I don't have a problem with JT, but I make these two a lot closer than maybe name recognition would. Justin Thomas is a fine player, but and again, I got this at like plus 140. So plus 140 for an excellent match player in Kevin Kisner, I'll take. And
it's a big difference, the match versus the medal play. And that's one of the reasons I like watching this. I wish there were more match play events. It's really fun to watch some of these guys a guy like Kevin Kisner, it's almost impossible for him to win a medal play tournament given what he's going up against. But in this situation, being a smart golfer, knowing situations, knowing how to be aggressive in the right times, really kind of levels the playing field. So I love these events.
Oh, and there's a ton more strategy. You're not thinking as long-term, like, all right, just don't blow up this hole because there's some attackable holes in the back nine. It's like, no, this guy sometimes there's advantage to going first. Sometimes there's advantage to going second. I know I heard somebody talk about that early in the week previewing this. They said sometimes not being as long off the tee is an advantage because you get your second shot first on a par 4. If you put one really close to the pin, that guy who just hit the shit off the tee, he has to know, like, well, this guy's probably making that 8-footer. I absolutely have to put one close. So he has to be uber aggressive to try to at least have the hole. and a lot of times that can backfire. So it's a lot of fun to watch. It's frustrating. It was frustrating for me yesterday, but I love it. Obviously, I love the Ryder Cup. I'm very excited. It's really the only other match play event. Maybe they will change a few more things to match play because it is and honestly, bring back the skins game. So Kiz at a decent price here. That one starts. I mean, I think honestly I just talked about it. I think that starts like right now. I'm not even sure you can bet on that again. And then my big play yesterday that I spoke about at length, fading Lee Westwood again. This isn't Sergio. I like Sergio better. But Mr. Wallace here at -130. Again, I think I got this at $1.25. This is one of the later ones too. This starts at about 2 Eastern. So you have time to price shop on this. Again, everything I said yesterday about Lee. Love him. Recent form's great, but he is playing a little tired, looking forward to the Masters. And there is something to be said for losing your first match here. It's awful hard to get out of the group. I think you get a full point for winning a match, a half point for having, and then the winner of the group advances. The other 3 men do not. So if you lose on Thursday, especially in a close match or maybe one you thought you had, it's going to be hard to get up for these last 2. And that's really going to come into play tomorrow when there's some, it's like Davis Cup when you have dead rubbers and stuff like that. So there will be some matches with some people that are essentially eliminated. It'll be fun when we get into that tomorrow. So like I said, I played everything Dwayne played. I'm going to look at these late ones. If I have anything more, I'll add to it. Thanks,
Dwayne, for saving the time typing.
Honestly, thank you, Dwayne. And then again, the outrights I did play from early in the week, Sergio to win his group at a big number and DJ at a small number. They both got it done, so that's nice. Bryson and the other one didn't win, so even if I go 2 for 2 on those, they were all plus. They were all plus money, so I like that. Tennis back to Miami. This is ongoing. This is like when are the finals? Like
the finals are going to be next week. So this is a tournament. It has 128 spots, like a Grand Slam, but there's a lot of buys. So instead of being a full 2 weeks, it's about like a week and a half. They start on a Tuesday, Wednesday, finish on a Saturday, Sunday. I believe the women will finish not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. And they've got some matches, like you said, going on right now. One of the plays, it looks like it's a pretty good thing that this started before we got on. I had the over in Alexandrova Podoroska, and it's well, we need Miss Podoroska to really turn things around here and win the second set. But these next few matches here, these are all later in the afternoon. As I start to look at the schedule here, the first one up is that total, Sabalenka, Pirankova. Was able to actually get 19.5 games at myself, but I love 20 here. I would make this 21 or maybe a cheap 21.5. This will be Sabalenka's first match at this tournament. It's really tough for a player to come in kind of cold like that. So Sabalenka's first match, she is generally a player that will blow sets. She has no problem, and frankly, a long history if you go back and look of coming in the first round of tournaments where she's had to have kind of a big travel spot. Either that first set is very long or she even loses it. So like the over 21 there, as well as the over 2.5 sets, I think there is a great chance that we see 3 sets here. I think if there is 2 sets, it's going to be like a 7-5, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3 kind of thing. So I think it's going to be a long 2 sets, probably even 3. Actually, just for the got distracted. Sabalenka, Pirankova, just the over 20 there. Sabalenka might drop a set, but I just like the over 20. I think that's a better angle. Sorry, I got a little confused. Gauff Sevastova.
Yeah, guess who's back? Guess who's back?
We love it. Coco's playing this week. Sevastova. Now, unfortunately, she beat our underdog yesterday. Danilovic was able to steal a set off her, but kind of collapsed late in the third there. Sevastova's experience really showed up in that third set tiebreaker. But she's back here playing Coco Gauff. Again, I think there's a great chance we see 2 long sets, 7-5, 7-6 in one of them. So like the over 21, I'd have that at a juicy 21.5, maybe even a 22, honestly. And then the 2.5 sets, they keep giving us better than plus 150. This should be plus 140, maybe even less than that. So plus 155 looks like a great number. We're back to the golf overs, Andy. I know you love those.
Yeah, that's my money bet. It's a piggy bank for me. Like, the last one, we talked about one too much, and we're not even going to highlight it today. There's no clipping this. We can't talk. Nobody talk about it. Just kind of let it take its course.
Well, we're just going to say it and move on like it's nothing. Last up, we have a parlay. Anytime you see all three names lumped together like this, I'm going to parlay them together. It's Halep, Kvitova, and Swiatek. Again, as I start to look at these matches, Iga Swiatek, it will be her first match against Barbara Krejcikova, who did get to play in the first round. I'm seeing a price of anywhere from -215 to -225. I have this closer to -250, 260 myself. Swiatek is one of the best players on tour. She can do just about everything you want from anybody, and I struggle to see what Krejcikova is going to be able to do better than her. Just really like that price there. Petra Kvitova. Now, this one is -500. She's playing Alizé Cornet, but I have this closer to -600, almost -700. A good head-to-head against Cornet. Kvitova's done very well in these courts. It's interesting because the courts themselves are very slow, but it's hot, it's humid. The balls, from what I've been told, are very lively. So it's actually a great place for power hitters. Yes, on slow courts, other players are going to be able to run around and chase some of these balls, but they lack the real power you need to hit winners, to hit through some of the slowness on these courts, where players like Kvitova, and on the men's side, even a guy like John Isner, people would struggle to think of him doing well in these courts, but he's won this event and finished second. So a power player like Kvitova does really nicely here. So I have her as a bigger favorite. And then the first piece there was Simona Halep. I actually have her a little outright to win the tournament. They're playing right now, so you have to wait till that's done, either late tonight or very early tomorrow morning. Take a look at it, see if you get some live outrights. Anything with Halep that's double digits will be good. But taking her money line here, she is playing Caroline Garcia. She's -350. I was joking with Andy before. I would have this, God, -500, -600. Even if Simona Halep gets hurt, she probably beats Caroline Garcia. So happy to back all three of these players. Again, no interest in playing them individually. So we'll take them, smack them all together in a parlay here at +115.
I love a parlay like that. I know I still had my mute on. That's why my lips are moving. Little ventriloquism magic there too. So yeah, I'm down for a parlay. I don't hate that. So NIT, I did mention we do have some NIT action. It's tough for me to take some sides here. There's some really good lines. Like, essentially, there's some really good lines in all of this. I'll just share this quick. Maybe I'll even zoom in a little on this. It's pretty much where they need to be. Like, I could get down with maybe a total here, but I mean, Mississippi State Richmond, I'm always going to favor Richmond at this number, but it's tricky once you start dealing with what do we got? -3. The total here is 136.5. I do have some respect for Mississippi State, and honestly, Richmond has let me down enough, or maybe I am just done backing them. It's been enough. Enough's enough for them. So I have this number pretty close. I will say Mississippi State they turn the ball over a lot. It's like 315th in the nation for turnover rate. And Richmond is really decent at forcing turnovers. I think they're top 50. But again, one played in the SEC. We've seen some of that kind of rear its ugly head. And, you can make the argument both ways. Some people said, well, maybe Abilene Christian can't do it because they forced all these turnovers in the shitty league, and then down goes Texas. So maybe that is kind of the equalizers, turnovers here a little. NC State, Colorado, this is a flip favorite. NC State was a slight dog, I believe, the other day. Maybe I'm mistaken on that. Either way, it's -1.5 for NC State. They probably win. It's an ACC team versus a team I like in the Mountain West, but they certainly didn't play the level of competition. NC State's a decent team. They should probably be 2.5 here. That's a slight lean, I suppose. I really don't have much on Boise State. Memphis is another team I like a lot, but this 4, that's just about right. Same thing with the total. So Memphis was a squad I backed to win their conference tournament. They did not get it done. The last one's a good one, though. Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky, probably my 2 favorite teams out of their conference. I think if I go back and look at my blog, they were the 2 teams I actually backed separately to win their conference. They both lost to North Texas, who obviously we saw got it done at least in the first week of the tournament. But yeah, Western Kentucky had a really good one in the finals, overtime versus North Texas in the CUSA tournament. I would lean slightly to this under. I don't know if it's ticking up or down. I might have to check some of the movement on this to see if even we saw any movement at all. But 36.5, I've seen some 36s out there. If you can get a 36.5, I'd play the under here. Honestly, neither of these games got to 130. I don't think. I'm gonna actually pull that quick up. So they're in the same conference. They've played each other twice. So Tech and Western Kentucky played each other at least twice. Yeah, like I said, they both lost to North Texas in the tournament, so they didn't play each other. But yeah, the first one 66-64. That's 130. The other one 63-58. So you're at 121. Those were both at Bowling Green, Kentucky. So Western Kentucky hosted both those. These teams haven't played for like a goddamn week. So I don't know. Neutral gym, haven't played for a week. I don't know if I'm all about an over in a couple teams that break it out in about the 120s normally. So that's probably my strongest lean. I didn't really play anything heavy. So I'll probably put a few bucks on that. If I come up with anything later, I will put it in the app and probably tweet. Other than that, guest tomorrow. We'll bring a guest in and break down the Sweet 16.
Right.
Obviously, we'll still have our picks for the day. I'll still probably be playing some goddamn golf.
Oh, there's tennis. I promise you, there's tennis.
I didn't have a shitload of time for here and there and everything on Punta Cana, but if this afternoon's looking like I'm just going to be sitting and listening to some podcasts, and not for pleasure, for actual research.
Something.
So I'm probably going to sit there and do some Punta Cana research. I might have some round 2 Punta Cana plays. I'll definitely keep playing these matchups no matter how it goes, because I'm going to continue to run my numbers and try to get better at betting match play. And yeah, I'm guessing Guest will have some plays for the weekend. So looking forward to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8 into Tuesday. And for Alex and me, we thank you. And thanks for the hang. We'll see you tomorrow.